Hey guys, I present to you the March 2026 bug fix update. Let's start with the printing pod side screen UI. You now have the management tab here with the colony summary, research and duplicant skill available. One of the more important changes to the game is that they removed the lower mass limit for temperature exchange for the simulation. So the simulation itself got changed, meaning if we have a tiny mass like 500 milligram here, it would not exchange temperature in the older versions of the game. But now, if we go to the heating gun and check if you can, if we heat up that diamond tile, the water is transferring the heat to the tiny mass of 500 milligram. I'm not sure if that exact amount would have worked before, but that's the smallest amount that I can create here. And that means that one of the more common issues with any metal volcano tamer got fixed. Before, you often had the issue that if you have material, like here on the rail, that is going around in circles, cooling down slowly over time, would accumulate very tiny amounts of metal pockets on the rails. Here for example it's 20 kilogram, here for example it's 10.2 kilogram, but it often could happen that you have a few milligrams sitting on top of these rails that would not exchange any heat. So the heat sensor that you place down would not pick up on the temperature change and would not throw out your cooled material. That should be fixed now. They claim that they tweaked the formula that they use for the temperature exchange for debris and for tiles, making it more stable for small fluctuations and oscillations. I'm not sure how I can prove that, but we just gotta believe them on this. They fixed the bug where off-gassing liquids, like this polluted water for example, in the simulation could emit the wrong amount of gas, emit it at a wrong temperature, remove more liquid than was intended, or delete mass from the tile below them. So that should be fixed now. Batteries no longer function when entombed. As you can see, they are no longer loading. And to make it even more clear, they also stop functioning, as I said. Another change is that the percentages displayed in the UI no longer round up to 100%. For example, let's follow Marco's AMB here and check out the breath. Breath at 100%, not rounded up, bladder 2%, and so on and so forth. Before, you could have something like 99.6% bladder and it always would round up to 100%, being confusing some of the times. Same goes for critter. For example, this here has a 98% chance of laying an egg, critter metabolism of 20%, and so on and so forth. If this would be a 99% reproduction rate or 99.9, it could show up as 100 in the older versions of the game. This is now fixed so that it is more clear to the player. Domesticated plants no longer consume fertilizer when wilted, so let's check this out. They are now wilted, the growth is halted, body temperature is not okay, and now they should not use 10 kilogram of fertilization per cycle, which should have been there from the beginning, to be honest. Nosh beans, sleet wheat grain and mimolets will now rot while marked for composting. So if you click on it and click the compost button in the down right corner, so then normally the duplicants will deliver it to the composter. Let's just block this. They will now retain their rot value if the compost request is cancelled. So cancel compost and the fresh value of 100 stays the same. Not completely sure about this one. They adjusted the mouse drag threshold before a click is interpreted as a drag to reduce misclicks on buttons. Not sure what I mean with that, but what I figured out is you can press on the copy button and do this, which is weird. Another very important change is that ugly cries will now weep the correct volume of tears. And I'm here to figure out what is the correct volume. As you can see, I put HB Seagull in a tiny room for a few days and they are not very happy and now they are crying. What we will do is we will now wait until the 100% stress will drop and then we measure the amount of tears. Okay, I think they are done now. Let's see. Okay, so the correct amount of tears cried is 5 kilogram. Just to show it to you even better, here, 5 kilogram. I hope a good tender brisket, a nice refreshing shower, a bit of hanging with their friends and a full night of sleep in their newly built private bedroom will take care of our poor duplicant's stress. They fixed the doors while they are open in a vacuum will exchange temperature because of some incorrect states. So as you can see, no heat is being exchanged. Now if I close this, still no heat is exchanged because I used the wrong doors. Okay, so this time I used manual airlocks. If I close them now, they will heat up and probably melt, yeah, because I made them out of copper. For the door heat exchange, they explicitly listed something about automation signaling, causing them to transfer the heat while in an incorrect state. I'm not sure I can reproduce this because it has been fixed, so let's just do this. Heat is being transferred, heat is not being transferred, so just how it should be. By the way, this is the theme of a lot of things that I show you today. Everything has been fixed, so I'm not sure how I can show something to you that has been already fixed. The door access for the duplicants, the robots and the bionic duplicants can be set here in this tab. The settings that you put in will persist throughout your different save files. And now they fixed something about the control change requests. So I'm guessing that if you change this to lock and you need a duplicant to come by and actually lock this, save the game, close it and reload it, then this request has been saved. Continuing with the fixes to the door access, apparently if, for example, we set this to only NRUG is allowed to go right and then copy the settings, before when you copied this to 4 doors, it has not been applied because it has been applied twice to the same door, to the lower tile and to the upper tile, making the request for the change obsolete and changing it back to the original state. And now it works. So before you had to copy the settings and press each individual door once, now you can just select them all and now you can bulk apply it. So let's reset this, make this, come on, just all the duplicants, yeah, like this. Copy the settings and like this, yeah. Works. Nice, awesome. This should also fix other copy setting bugs as well. There have been changes and fixes to the power system, so if you switch to the power overlay, click on one of your grids, for example this one here, then go to properties and take a look at the circuit overview. They changed the following. The computing of the maximum safe wattage of a building on an electrical network, this one here, now considers the joint plates that are part of the circuit as well as the wires. Previously that has not been the case and joint plates were not considered. Continuing with this, let me just build something. We need a power transformer like this. So currently the power transformer is turned on, now it is turned off. A disabled power transformer building will no longer incorrectly display the no wire status. This one with the implemented fix does no longer show the no wire status incorrectly, because obviously it has a wire, it just is turned off. So that has been fixed. In continuation with that, they fixed an issue where a power shut off, this one here, come on game, just let like this building here. If that building is constructed on an inactive logic network here, then it would default to active. It is now inactive, as you can see. The default behaviors are now no logic network, active, red symbol, so an inactive logic network, it is deactivated, and an active logic network, it is activated. Before the update, when trying to wrangle a behemoth, the ropes were missing. Same goes for the hatches. This has now been fixed, as you could see. The next one is about the critter fountain. The contents of the critter fountain no longer exchange temperature with the environment. So even though this building is 1630 degrees Celsius, the Burkeen inside is only 36.8. The milking station's description has been updated to include the husky moose, so they just put in moose here, and biodiesel. They fixed a bug where the values reported by the pitcher pumps were incorrect. It should now show the correct value of available liquids. In this case 9.6 tons. Let's check if this is correct. 161, yeah, okay, this is not available. So clear the selection. 9.6 tons, yeah, this is correct. I'm not sure if you can remember that, but I'm well aware of this bug. So if you have a one tile high water source and have a pitcher pump inside of it, the duplicants can get infinitely stuck trying to get water. That is now fixed. You can no longer extract liquid that is not in the direct visible path of the pitcher pump. Before the fix, you could extract liquids that was to the right and to the left to some degree. In this case, that would be visco gel that I placed to the right and to the left. Now you only have the water available in the visually indicated area of the interaction of the pitcher pump, which is this one here. They fixed an issue where the Somnium synthesizer could not consume small amounts of dream journals correctly, which was preventing it from accepting delivery requests for more dream journals. The previews for the striped and curved drywall blueprints under construction, these one here, will now better match the completed building. I do not have any striped ones, so I cannot show you, but I do have these ones. The splash effect now shows correctly when things are dumped into liquid. They fixed a bug that prevents certain plant seeds from being displayed on pedestals, shelves and sweepies. Since I cannot know which those are, I'm just presenting a few to you, so you can see if it works. As you can see, my random selection is being shown. Except for this one. How about that? There you go. They fixed an issue where timers on filter gates or buffer gates were inaccurate. Apparently there was a bug that if you took something out of a fridge, for example some pickled meal here, let's just drop everything, this pickled meal, then it would no longer exchange temperature with the surroundings. But if we drop it into magma, the temperature is increasing, as you can see here in the down right corner. So apparently, first off, this has been a bug that I didn't know of, and secondly, it has been fixed. The liquid shutoff had an issue where it would reset to 0 on load. So now the liquid shutoff will retain the current flow that it was saved with, whatever that means. So apparently what is inside could be that it deleted liquid before if you load and reload it, but I'm not sure. Duplicants that had the Banshee stress reaction will now bail if they are in water and the stress reaction triggers. Before that, apparently, if you kept your duplicants in water, the stress reaction would not trigger. They fixed the hot tub, increasing its temperature when not in use, which should no longer be the case. Also, this water is too cold for the duplicants. Those have been the fixes that applied to everything in the game, and now to the fixes that only apply to the base game, then the spaced out only and the bionic booster pack and so on. And now to the spaced out only changes. They fixed an issue where deconstructing a solo spacefarer nose cone, this one here, no, this one here. They fixed it where deconstructing this nose cone resulted in some tiles not being buildable. Not sure what they mean with some tiles not being buildable, but that has been fixed. They also fixed an issue where the orbital cargo module was not requesting materials upon the landing. These ones here. As soon as the rocket landed, the modules would not request the materials that they would need to stock up on. That is now fixed. So in Spaced Out Only, the telescope and enclosed telescope building descriptions now both specify that they produce databanks when revealing star map hexes. So this is here and here. When duplicants were in flight with the rocket, they would get the thrilling flight status item, giving them some bonuses. And that would persist even though the duplicants landed back on the planet and were running around and no longer in space. That is now fixed. Now to the bionic booster pack only. They fixed an issue where the bionic duplicants would not consider power banks, oxygen canisters or gear bomb that is inside of rockets if they were on the main asteroid. Now they consider it. They fixed an issue where the Flido attempting to pick up things through doors and then failing because they can't reach the specific cell. Could you maybe not do that? There. And they also fixed a crash that could happen when Flido evaluated some errands. And now to the next point. Is this still working? I got a reasonable amount of comments that were asking for, is this specific build still working? Does this still work? And so on and so forth. So now let's go over that. First off, let's start here at the bottom. The 10% pipe rule. If you only have 10% or less of the pipe volume filled with its respective liquid or whatever you want to pump through it, the liquid inside of the pipe will not change states. So even though there is just one little broken pipe piece, that is because I screwed around with it. So if we have 100 gram per second inside of this insulated pipe and pipe it through this radiant steel liquid pipe through liquid magma, the water starts at 27 degrees Celsius and is dumped here at 1500 degrees Celsius, instantly turning into steam. So that still works. Of course, the same goes for gases. Do the infinite storages still work? Yes, because nothing has changed that would say otherwise. Here we have 1 kilogram of oxygen per second that is pumped into the left and into the right chamber. We only have a small amount of liquid here that prevents the gas vents from overpressurizing, and I have had this running for 180 cycles, so we have a few 100,000 kilograms inside of here, which means around 12,000 kilograms per tile. Yeah, here the same. And as you can see, the walls are also not breaking because gas pressure does not break any walls. And the same goes for the infinite liquid storages. I had been pumping in 10 kg per second for 180 cycles, around that. And we do have a large amount of liquid here, as you can see. The walls are not breaking because of the manual airlocks. This tile is not breaking because there's no liquid pressure, only gas pressure, because we have a single gas tile here. And this one is not breaking because we are using airflow tiles. And the liquid vent is prevented from overpressurizing by placing around 22.5 kg of crude oil here. Next up is the open infinite storage that is built with 2 gas tiles. Also works pretty fine, no issues here. And because of the door change from the lower tile to the top tile, there could have been a fix to the temperature transfer, which means this here is super cold and transfers and duplicates its heat through the doors, through the camshaft plates up here. And I have been using this for a long time to cool down small amounts of liquids that I've pumped through here. So we have 10.5 tons of ice from an incoming 27 degrees Celsius water without ever cooling any of this here down, only cooling this down at the first 5 cycles. The original temperature of this was 27.2, but because there is some heat loss if you load and reload the game because of the door states, if they're open or closed, we lost a little bit of temperature. It is at 26.6 degrees now. Next up is the batteries. First off, we need power to the batteries. 1, 2. The trick is if you have a battery and a power consumer that is shut off with a power shut off, the battery will produce heat, as you can see by the heat production 1.25 kilodTUs per second. And if we take that away, the heat production stops. If you have a battery without a power consumer, there's also no heat production. You can use it to inject some heat if you want it. Next up is the gas transfer. Let me just get some hydrogen. 999 kg per tile and a vacuum on the other side. This is on singular speed. We are dropping in 0.1 gram per second. We are dropping in water on a small tile of crude oil and are transferring the hydrogen gas in large volumes to the upper room in a few seconds. So this is normal speed and we are already at almost all of the 900 kg being transferred from this here. And the chamber to the left is only waiting for the right chamber to empty out. So let's speed this up a little bit. The milligrams always take the longest. And once this is empty, then the next chamber will start pretty quickly. So this is a vacuum now, and now the 900 kilograms here are gone, having transferred all of that to the top chamber. Still works, nothing changed. And for the people that wanted to know if the exploit with the mealwood planting in a flower pot still works, yes, that also still works. You just have to place a flower pot underneath a sand tile that you find in anywhere. Let's just go look for one. There's a sand tile. You grab a flower pot, place it underneath, dig up the tiles above, then have a pip come by. Oh, come on pip, why are you doing this? Once the pip has planted the seed, you can go to the flower pot, copy the settings and copy them over to any other flower pot as well. So with this out of the way, you now know what still works, what doesn't work, what has been fixed and what hasn't been fixed. If there is anything else that you want to know in most of the other updates, just let me know in the comments down below and I will expand my testing setup here so that I can test it in every update, just to let you know if this and that is still working. Because I get those questions a lot and those are basically core mechanics of the game that almost never change, except this one. I'm not really sure about this one, but everything else should be fine, not getting fixed. Other than that, I'm really glad you guys are still watching my older videos. I would love to do more for you and I'm hyped for the upcoming away team game from Clay, but due to the time restraints I can only focus on the most pressing issues. I'm really sorry. I love you guys and I hope to one day be able to give you the content that you deserve. Have a great day and Luma out.